Welcome to the AI Music Sentiment Report, where I fill you in on the plain and honest truth about artificial intelligence music sentiments in the world. Very recently, a well-known YouTuber, Rick Beato, came out with a video, yet again, publicizing AI, music, and Suno. Now, Rick may not know that he is directly influential to a lot of people discovering artificial intelligence music and seeing him do it firsthand. So there were three people who were instrumental to my AI music conversion, because I was pretty much not into AI in music. I was into AI in other things, but not music. So when my daughter showed me what she had done in, I think it's, what's it called? Mozart AI or something like that. That was my first contact with anything AI created. And I was a bit taken aback and pretty resistant without saying it, because I didn't want her to be offended at what I had to say. But then the second time that I started thinking about this whole thing was seeing Rick do one of his demos. And then eventually I ended up seeing another well-known YouTuber in the financial space demoing what she had created and how she's getting a check as a result of her work. And I'm like, you're not a musician. What am I missing? Maybe I'm under a rock. Let me go learn. Let me pay attention. And I started paying more attention. So thank you, Rick. Rick doesn't know he's been so instrumental in a lot of people getting into AI, although my daughter was the first contact that I had with it. So Rick came out with yet another video a few days ago, and the video has, as usual, lots of views. You got to understand he's got over 5 million followers. So it made me look into the world of AI music broadly. First of all, narrowing down on his video, and I did a sentiment analysis on his video. And after doing a sentiment analysis on his population of viewers, I did a broader sentiment analysis looking at the broader world of music, and not just taking a look at his very educated audience, very opinionated, very educated, musically educated, but I also took a look at the audience in the world at large. And this is what I discovered. I'm going to share that with you right now. So what I realized is there's a spectrum from diehard musicians to casual streamers, and this is the full cross demographic picture. Not just looking at Rick and his viewers and his subscribers. He had over 10,000 comments, which I did an analysis of, but also looking at Deezer's comments, looking at the recent Bain survey, and looking at the unique sentiments that each demographic has. So the data is in and nobody's buying it. Rick Beato called it now a Bain Company survey of 5,000 consumers has backed him up with hard numbers, and the picture is even bleaker for the AI music industry than the Beato comment section suggested. Across every credible data source, YouTube musicians, Reddit communities, BPI consumer panels, and Bain's nationally representative survey, opposition to AI generated music is broad. Let's establish that. It is deep and it is remarkably consistent. The question is no longer whether the public cares, it's about what is happening next. So let's talk about the scale of this problem. How big is it? Before we get to opinions, let's establish facts on the ground. The flood of AI generated music isn't a slow tide, it's a tsunami that has arrived with almost no warning. Here are the rather colorful, or should I say, interesting numbers. 34% of all daily new uploads on Deezer are AI. So think about that. We're talking about going to 15 or 16,000 tracks daily. So let's jump into the Bain survey. What 5,089 real Americans actually think. So this is the most important counterpoint to the Beato is a niche musician argument. Bain and Company's May 2025 media consumption survey polled 5,089 consumers aged 13 plus, a nationally representative demographically broad sample that includes casual streamers, gaming teens, and people who couldn't name a single guitar chord. Their findings are damning for AI music. 62% of the individuals surveyed are less likely or won't engage with AI generated music. 63% are less interested if AI fully generates entire songs. So there's a difference here between those who won't engage and those who are less interested if AI fully generates entire songs. Which means if AI does not generate the entire song, people may be open to listening. But it gets even more subtle later on. And I'll show you a few graphs to buttress the point. 58% are less interested in generated artists releasing music. And music ranks highest for AI rejection versus all other media, which answers a question I've had. Why is AI music different from AI generated art and so on? For whatever reason, music ranks the highest, number one. So I'm going to show you a chart that shows AI tolerance by application. And the question that the Bain survey asks is, would you be more or less interested in listening to music that was produced using AI as a creative tool in each of the following ways? So you have dark red for more interested, lighter red for equally interested, no effect, and blue for less interested. So watch this. AI used to generate entire songs, fully generate entire songs. 63% of the population are less interested, 29% no effect, 8% more interested, which may look odd, but when you summarize, only 37% of people are open to fully generated AI songs. So let that sink in, right? This is going to help you as a creative. So I am not resisting the information. I'm just presenting the information to you. Then we have creating a new AI generated artist. 10% more interested, 33% equally interested or no effect, 58% are rejecting this idea. Creating new music by deceased artists, pretty much the same. It doesn't change a whole lot. 56% less interested, and you have 44% who are, they're okay with it. Now, that number, comparing the 37%, right, who are okay with entire songs, the number increases when people are given the opportunity of listening to perhaps their favorite artist who is no more. Then we have creating vocals, 47%. 47% are open to, okay, vocals are created with AI. Okay. 52% are less interested. So you see, the biggest rejection comes from fully generated entire songs with AI. Then it decreases as we have AI artists, then deceased artists, then creative vocals, and then writing lyrics. There's less resistance. You see, people are like, well, if it was written by AI but performed by human. So we have about 51% when it comes to writing lyrics. You got to understand what these two are: more interested and equally interested or no effect. Translating vocals to other languages, we have people, they have 56% are like, okay, 43% are kind of opposed to it. When it comes to creating the sound of instruments, we have a lot less resistance. You see that? 40% pushback. We have roughly 59% say, we're okay if it creates the sound of instruments. Now, for the enhancement of vocals and instruments, we have roughly 67% say, that's okay. Only a 34% pushback. So things like Lambda and other tools, which I say is at level 3, people are okay with that, generally. Only 34% said, we don't want AI to enhance the sound of instrumental vocals. And then lastly, help with initial song ideation and improving lyrics. We had 67% say, it doesn't really make any difference. And we had 33% say no. So when you look at this survey in totality, the biggest pushback is in fully generated songs, then new AI generated artists, then music from deceased artists, and then creating vocals. So shades of gray, but insights abound. The key insight from this chart: the further AI is from the core creative act, the more people accept it, enhancing existing sounds, 34% negative, is far more tolerable than replacing the artist, 63% negative. The public draws a clear line. AI as a tool is acceptable. AI as a replacement is rejected. And honestly, I think this is the problem that a lot of people have. A lot of people do not understand the nuances in AI generated music. They don't understand that it's not all the same. It is not a one size fits all. There are subtleties when it comes to AI in music. Okay? Now, just to clarify, I have broken this down into 9 levels. 9 levels of artificial intelligence music. Let's go through these levels one by one because I think it will help those of you who have not been through my taxonomy. Let's go to the Phil-Aim taxonomy. You can find this on philc.net, phillc.net. So level 0, just covering it really quick. Level 0 is the human-only purist, that person who does not want AI in music at all. We have level 1, where we use AI for admin. We have level 2, where we use AI for a micro assist and idea spark. We have level 3, which is human-led AI-aided production like Lambda for mixing, mastering, but not touching the creative process. Then we have level 4, which is a hybrid arrangement. The human provides the lead vocal. We can have some backing parts from AI, but we don't have AI replacing the human lead. Then we have level 5, co-write, co-perform. It's like a 50-50 split or close. Then we have level 6, AI led with human direction. At this point, there is no one necessarily doing the bulk of the work other than AI. AI originates most musical material, melody, lyrics, arrangement, mix. It's guided by human prompts. And this is the level that a lot of people are using AI at. And from what we're seeing, this has a lot of pushback where there is no human intervention at all. Then we have whole, the human out of the loop, level 7. This is AI doing everything, including deciding what to write on, what to sing on. It's not a very good position. I'm not a fan, but that's what it is. And then we have level 8, ambidextrous hybrid policy. This is the ability for an artist to apply different levels of the taxonomy depending on the nature of the music. For example, indigenous music could be, I have a 0 tolerance for AI, but maybe elevator music, I have level 6 is permissible. And that's the general mindset. So my friends, when we're taking a look at this report from Bain, I want you to understand that there is more to it than meets the eye. There's a lot that goes into the assessment of accepting artificial intelligence. The question is not, oh, do you accept artificial intelligence? Instead, the question is, at what level do you draw the boundary? All right, let's go to the second chart. This is music versus other media. How does AI music rejection compare? So the question is, if you knew content in X medium was generated in whole or in part by AI, how would this impact your likelihood to engage? So again, dark red would not engage, brighter red, less likely to engage, gray, equally likely, and the darker gray, more extremely likely. Video games, people were pretty much okay with that, up to 60%. That's a lot of people, right? 60%. Only 40% said, or only 19% said they would not engage. Less likely to engage, 21%, but the hard stop is 19. AI video, we had less people interested in engaging, so roughly 41%. We had like almost 59% said not really takers to engage in video. And then audiobooks and podcasts, believe it or not, that's a big number as well. We have about 60% say audiobooks and podcasts, if I know it's by AI, not really interested. Only 40% said, yeah, we'll engage. Social media, 61% not interested if they know it's from AI. 39% said they would engage. Music, this is a big number because we're seeing roughly 62% overall in the negative zone. 31% of people said they won't engage. 31% said they are less likely to engage with AI-generated music. Only 38% would engage. Now, that 38% is a big chunk of the market. So we're going on almost getting to 50%. I know we're still 10% away, but it's not as bleak as it sounds. So when I did a sentiment analysis of Rick's video, 92% of people were negative. When I took a look at a broader survey, it doesn't resonate. It doesn't cut across, which shows you that Rick's population are different from the wider population of people. It's not as dismal as it sounds and as people are making it out to be after watching that video. What about news and magazines? We have almost a similar number, 65% said they don't want to engage because they know it's probably made up. That's what they're thinking. Only 35% of people would engage with news, magazines from AI. Books, this number was quite significant as well. This is almost 71%. That is huge. So when you take a look at music versus books, books are the worst. So let's talk about Rick Beato's comment section in his recent video about AI. Now that we know 62% of general Americans oppose AI, Rick Beato's comment section, with about 722,000 views last time I checked, and roughly 11,000 comments sampled, represents the concentrated core of that opposition. And we have musicians, audiophiles, and dedicated fans turned up to maximum intensity. Their 92% anti-AI rate isn't a fringe view. It's the logical extreme of a sentiment that runs deep across the general public. 92% anti-AI sentiment in the comments. 6.5 thousand likes in the top comment talking about Spotify royalties. 5.7 thousand likes in the no AI filter demand, and 10,000 plus total comments in 3 days. So this shows you emotions are running pretty high. The dominant emotional tones in Rick's video, anger and fury, directed at Spotify, YouTube, and AI companies, and the suspected motive, eliminating royalties entirely. Words like destroying, ruining, and nightmare dominate, confirmed by Bain data on streaming economics. Revenue per stream fell roughly 30% between 2017 and 2023. There's a lot of demoralization, people saying I'm a beginning singer working on my first album. Every time I see posts about AI artists, it just makes me sad. Then the why bother feeling is real. And Bain confirms its rationale. AI undercuts the economics of emerging artists first. There's dark humor. Milli Vanilli is owed an apology. This makes Milli Vanilli look like the Beatles. The community processes grief through wit. The Norway doorframe thread went briefly viral within the comments themselves. And then talking about nostalgic defiance, back to CDs and live music, got 3,200 likes. Commenters announce canceling Spotify, returning to physical media. Bain notes, live music is one space AI cannot replace. And I've always said that on this channel. And industry leaders are paying attention, right? There's a conspiracy theory mindedness going on as well. People thinking bot listeners are listening to bot music, fake monthly listeners counts exceedingly actual plays. There's deep distrust of various platforms, and then the apocalyptic dread. We have created a Lovecraftian monster that feeds on drawings, paintings, music, books. It eats everything, only to regurgitate ghosts. Bain's Napster comparison echoes this. And here are the top comments in Rick's video in the comment section. I wish we had a no AI preference on every platform. Well, if wishes were horses, what would happen? Men would probably ride. Unfortunately, these are not public utility companies. It is not a public utility. It is not ours to decide. We could wish all we want, ain't gonna happen. Now, taking a look at the Bain validation column, yeah, Bain confirms streaming revenue fell, and it also confirms that 81.5% of people want AI music labeled. But AI music labeling isn't as easy. It's not as easy, my friends. We gotta understand we don't just have AI music and no AI. Just as I showed you, we have shades of gray. We have, I'm using AI for mixing and mastering. I'm using AI for just the instruments. I'm using AI for just 3 instruments. I'm using AI for just the background vocals. I'm using AI for the keys and the sax. Everything else is real. You get what I'm saying? So there's shades of gray. It is not practical. and I don't think it's fair for the listener to lump everything as AI, because they could be missing out on some great stuff that is a hybrid. So I'm not a fan of it should be labeled black or white, like Deezer is doing. The Deezer model is useless. It's worthless to me as a hybrid musician. And based on the Bain survey, I think it's equally worthless to a lot of the people on that survey, at least over half of those people. Because people were open to music that was not completely generated by AI, if you get what I'm saying. Back to CDs and live music. Come on, get real. Get real. Who's going back to the CD days? They were great. They're nostalgic. But the management of the CD is a headache. It's just too much. No. So although these are things that people are echoing they want, right? Ain't going to happen. Now, live music, yes, right? Live music can never be replicated, right? But when it comes to CDs, let's leave that alone. I mean, you got banged up CDs, scratch CDs, then the CD player, the production of CD players has gone down. That's not a realistic thought in my mind. It's a nice to have. I don't think we're going back to live music. Live music has always been supreme. So let's get that straight. A lot of the big performers today, they make a lot of their big money from performing live. Bot listeners listening to bot music, what a nightmare. Again, while there's a lot of dubious stuff going on, there's definitely a lot more music made by AI being uploaded, but it doesn't automatically mean that it's bots listening to them. Like Zenio Monet has got a big following. The Velvet Sunna had a big following in the beginning. And many others who are not that big have got significant followings. So I don't think we can categorically say that, oh, it's bots listening to bot music. Those are unvalidated. Milli Vanilli looking like the Beatles, that's funny, obviously. We need an AI blocker. Okay. I think these sentiments about AI blockers and so on, they are definitely warranted, but at the same time, I have never been served a dollop of AI generated music that is no good. Like when I go to Spotify, I'm looking for specific artists. I'm not looking for what Spotify suggests. And I think that's where there could be a significant difference, right? People just going with whatever is suggested versus going with what they're looking for. They should stop to think if they should. And even the non-AI tracks sound like AI. That is very, very true. That was a funny comment. It just made me chuckle. And again, to the defense of the other camp, absolutely. We have a lot of formulaic sounding music that's not that great. Now let's break down the Beato audience sentiment. Anti-AI, a negative 92%. Neutral, humorous, about 6%. And pro-AI or indifferent, only 2%. You got to understand, Beato's audience is a self-selecting echo chamber of music professionals. They all sound the same. And that's one way you know that a population is not the same as a wider population. Is so concentrated. You got dedicated fans, music professionals, their views are authentic. But compare these views to the Bain survey, right? General public data in part 1 and calibrate. So let's take a look at what everyone thinks by demographic. The Bain data tells us the headline, 62% opposed versus Rick's 92, right? But the nuance lives in the demographics. And here's how sentiment breaks down across distinct audience communities, from Reddit, AI enthusiasts, to indie fan forums, and so on. So taking a look at Rick's group, 92%. UK general listeners, numbers going down to 80%. Indie fan communities, 75%. US general consumers, 62%. 18 to 30 social natives, look at that humongous number drop. That's almost like half of Rick's enthusiastic audience. See that? And then when it comes down to tech and AI enthusiasts, it drops to 25%. You see, the number of anti-AI people in those groups, it goes down. The younger generation, they're not even remotely close to the older generation and the musicians, you see. So we got to understand this. So the opposition levels by group, musicians, 92%, general listeners, 80%, indie fan communities, 75%, US general public, 62%, social natives 18 to 30, 50%, and tech AI enthusiasts 25%. So tech enthusiasts, 67% of independent creators now use AI for at least part of their workflow. Think about that. The dominant sentiment, AI collaborated, not AI generated. But even pro-AI Reddit users erupted when Udio settled with UMG, calling it an absolute betrayal. Even they fear corporate capture. Casual streamers, the Velvet Sundown test proved it. They often don't care until they find out. The AI band accumulated millions of streams with no complaints. Until the reveal triggered total rejection. Ignorance is bliss, discovery is outrage. Bain's 62% figure likely undercounts this group's aversion. 18 to 30, social natives, the most split group. They use AI for comedic novelty, presidential rap battles, Squidward covers, while deference to human artists remains strong for music they emotionally invest in. Bain's finding that 28% of the under 18s also create music explains this. They know the process. So 67% of US consumers aged 18 to 30 said they would change their opinion of a track if they discovered the vocals were AI generated versus only 45% for AI instrumentals alone. The human voice remains the emotional line in the sand, confirmed by both consumer panels and the Bain AI tolerance chart. So, head-to-head, Beato's crowd versus the general public. So Rick's audience, we've already looked at the demographics. Let's go straight to the summary because I want you to take a look at this. So Rick's audience, 92% rejection. The Bain report, 62% rejection, right? 30-point gap. Won't engage at all, majority. General public, 31%. Oppose fully AI-generated songs, pretty much everyone, but Bain, 63%. So 29% differential. Oppose AI vocals specifically, we can only see a 52% rejection from Bain, but with Rick's group, it's a lot higher. Accept AI as a creative tool, 5% roughly from Rick's group, 67% from Bain for enhancement and ideation. Want AI music labeled, pretty much everyone in Rick's group, 81.5% in the general. Nearly a zero gap. Music ranks versus other media for AI rejection, pretty much aligned as far as the rejection where music is concerned. So there's some key themes across all these sources, and this is where we really need to think, because I believe these have keys to what the future could be. Royalty avoidance, label in demand, deception, betrayal, the human voice is sacred, corporate capture, platform accountability, democratization, bot listeners versus fake metrics. And you can see all these things on the screen. Just slow it down and read it for yourself. So the final verdict, Beato isn't a niche complaint. The Bain data proves it. If you look at the broader picture, yes, everyone, right, has some misgivings with AI in music. The most important takeaway from layering the Bain survey onto the Beato comments is this. Beato's 92% is the amplified tip of a very large iceberg. When 62% of a nationally representative US sample of 5,000 people say they won't or are less likely to engage with AI music, including people who've never heard of Rick, never played an instrument, and just want something to put on while they cook, the argument that this is a niche musician grievance collapses entirely. The nuances matter though. The general public draws a pragmatic line. AI as a tool for enhancement is broadly acceptable. AI as a replacement for the artist, the one with the voice singing, broadly rejected. Bain's data is clear that consumers are open to AI helping with ideation, sound enhancement, and vocal translation, but they don't want it writing songs, singing them, or pretending to be a human band on Spotify. The single point of near universal consensus across every demographic surveyed, if it's AI generated, label it. 81.5% of UK consumers, the vast majority of US consumers in the Bain survey, Deezer's own platform policy, and every Reddit community tested agree on this one thing. Transparency is the minimum viable peace treaty between AI and the music listening public. Music fans still put a huge premium on human artistry and authentic connections with artists, and that's unlikely to change anytime soon. So 62% of the US public opposes AI music. 81% want AI music labeled. 63% are less interested in fully AI generated songs. There's a 5 times increase in AI tracks on Deezer in the past 11 months. So, my friends, that is the end of my report. I'm curious to know what you think about all of this information. The data doesn't lie. People are less likely to listen to fully generated AI music. It's that simple. So, where does the future take us? What does the future hold? We're going to have to discover this. It seems like in the United States, we're very opinionated. I think the lower the age and the different demographics in the world, they're going to probably tell a different story, but we don't have enough data yet. We don't have a big survey that goes into the intricacies. I really hope that the companies who are able to pull off some of these surveys worldwide will do so and share that data, because I'm curious to know what everyone else thinks in Asia, in Africa, Middle East, all the continents, East Asia. I want to know. And I'm looking forward to getting more information. Thank you for joining me. If you've enjoyed this, drop me a comment, smash the like button and subscribe. See you next time.